champion strikes back. Max Verstappen wins the Sao Paulo Grand Prix. Charles Leclerc wins the Monaco Grand Prix to achieve his dream. Off goes Leclerc, through goes Hamilton. Lando Norris wins for the first time in Formula One.
He's out around the outside. He's run out of road.
It's lights out and away we go.
All right, what's up, everybody? It is Neil Curtis
And Bekah.
here with EFF-1T, the F1 Formula One podcast. Recapping the last couple races. It's been about a month since we were on, but we're back on again. Trying to keep up with it. Today, talk a little bit about Austria, which is kind of one of my favorites. I really like the scenery as much as anything else there. Really short track, very fast, but also just a beautiful background there in Austria up in the hills. Looks gorgeous. And then Silverstone, which I think might be my favorite track to watch. Yeah, it's the original first Formula One race there ever.
It's definitely always a good one.
Yep, former RAF airfield, military base. So a lot of history, a lot of tradition there. Always really like that kind of thing, and I think that's pretty cool. And hopefully, at least one of those, maybe we'll get to one day. We'll see.
Yeah.
And then after that, we'll kind of do a quick wrap up with the standings and some upcoming thoughts, especially for Formula One silly season should be right around the corner as we head into the summer break for August.
It's getting wild, guys. It's getting wild.
Yeah, maybe.
The rumors are flying.
They're starting up. They're getting going. So
Yes.
all right. So let's see. First up, we said we'll talk a little bit about Austria here, where we had Russell, Verstappen, and then Antonelli on the podium there. Honestly, for me, like I said, I really like this race. I think it's a beautiful track, beautiful layout. Also, kind of one of the more boring races, in my opinion, to be perfectly honest. I think last year's was also not that exciting. I think
We had some
McLaren dominated last year.
Yeah, we had some early on action because that race actually last year, Kimi took out himself and Max in the opening lap. But then from there it was pretty much McLaren domination. I believe Lando won that race.
I think you're right. So, but this one had some stuff for it. The qualifying, I think, was probably the most exciting part of it, to be, in my opinion. Obviously, Ferrari fan, Haas fan too, which I think Haas has gone pretty much dormant for us this season. They've staked themselves to a solid 7th or 8th in the standings, and that's probably where they'll sit.
We're so close. We're so close.
Yeah, we keep saying
We're
that.
So close.
But for this one, the qualifying was pretty interesting, where Ferrari, after kind of a lackluster weekend, most of the practices weren't that exciting for them. They weren't that far up towards the top. They had brought an upgrade to their power units. I think for the first few practices, especially, they were still getting used to, drivers were still getting used to what that was doing for the car. But then came qualifying, and even through the first 2 qualifying sessions there, but not really threatening any kind of top of the pack pace. And then seemingly from out of nowhere, Leclerc takes pole position. He's on provisional pole, sitting pretty nice. And then
It's the last 20 seconds of Q3.
Yep, everybody's coming around for their final lap. You got Verstappen, Kimi, and Russell, right? I think that was
those
the
were
order.
the major people on their flying laps.
Yeah, and then in the second to last corner, Verstappen loses it, goes into the litter, smacks the wall, and the yellow flags come out. Kimi Antonelli full lift,
abandons his lap time.
kicks out of the lap, so he's not going to hit pole. Ferrari's celebrating. I mean, Verstappen's in the wall, but I think everybody kind of knows that
Ferrari's
he's okay.
Yeah.
But Ferrari's like, this is it. We've claimed pole.
Session's over.
Lewis Hamilton was in second, and they have nice 1-2 lockout on the front row.
Or do they?
And then George Russell comes around and pips them both and takes pole position. After he had lifted in the final turn, which after review was deemed enough of a lift. In my opinion, of course you've lifted. You're going into a turn.
Yeah.
Like you're lifting for the turn. You're not lifting for the safety factor. You're not lifting for the yellow flag. You're lifting because you don't want to fly off the turn yourself. So
I think general consensus was
because I don't see how. I think he was running, clipping better than Charles's pace through most of his flying lap. I don't think it was to such a degree that if he had truly lifted for safety for the yellow flags, that he still beat Leclerc by almost 0.2 seconds to pole. There's no way you lifted enough for the yellow flag and still beat the next car by 0.2 seconds. I mean, like I said, I think he had an edge going through most of the lap. I don't think it was enough to give him a 0.2 second lead at the end after lifting for a yellow flag. So, our opinion,
probably should have been Leclerc.
Yeah, probably should have been Leclerc's pole.
Yeah. Especially if you take into consideration, if you were allowed to keep going on a lap like that, if Kimi hadn't abandoned his lap, he was also running better than George was in some of his sectors. So it could have been Kimi's if they didn't have to lift the way that Kimi did. But Kimi did the right thing. He abandoned his lap, and George ended up a pole.
So otherwise, the race itself, exciting if you're a Red Bull Max Verstappen fan.
Yeah.
He, despite that runoff in qualifying, started 7th,
something like
5th
that.
or 7th,
somewhere
I
around
can
there.
find that out.
Something like that. I know it was I think it was kind of like that thing where it's like Mercedes, Ferrari, they kind of yeah,
he started 5th. So we've got Max starting 5th because of the runoff and managed to fight his way through pack. Got set back a little bit from pit stop strategy or from his pit stop, and then fought his way back. And podium obviously got all the way up to 2nd. So I think maybe scored a driver today too. I'm not sure.
I believe he did. Yes.
So great strategy, great day for Red Bull. I think they too had brought some package upgrades for their car, which seemed to really get them going in the right direction.
Yeah.
Also a good day for a home race to pull off a 2nd place out of
both of
5th.
Both of them have been running very well. Even Isak has been able to stay on pace with Max sometimes, or even outdo him in some of the qualifying laps.
I think clearly of all the second seat drivers to Max Verstappen over the last 3-4 years?
Since Danny Ricciardo.
Since Checo had his run.
But that was when they had the full dominating car.
Yeah. But since Checo's dominating run, been one of the best second seat drivers. It's probably because a lot of the other support for Max is left. But and then if you're a Ferrari fan, having scored 2 and 3 on pole, and then with really just kind of a dreadful.
I believe they translated into 5th and 8th.
Yeah, I think Leclerc had a really terrible result. He had almost had pole. He ended up finishing 8th, and Lewis Hamilton managed to pull in 5th, as they were almost 30 seconds off. A lot of that due to an extra pit stop. So where Barcelona, Ferrari's 3-stop strategy for Lewis paid off, especially with the safety car when it happened. did not work out so
Yeah.
well in Austria.
Especially because the tire management was really key in this race because of the heat. Those tires were going quick for a lot of people. Like Oscar Piastri had degradation and graining to his tires pretty early on, so did Ferrari, and it just ended up not working out for them. I think a lot of people had to like really time the stops properly in order to like maintain a position they wanted. It did not work out for them.
Yeah. So, all in all, Austria, my opinion, maybe not the greatest race. It was good, but not the greatest. That would, especially not this year. So
Yeah.
Silverstone though, Silverstone was a lot of fun. Again, like I
Until
love
the very
Silverstone. It's a good time. Great race, high speed. So you would think Mercedes here would dominate. Ferrari would have some challenges. Again, we had a sprint race. Lewis Hamilton on pole for the sprint, right?
Yeah, I believe so.
In Silverstone. And then although he was only able to convert that into second place. Let's see, sprint. Yep, Lewis with the pole. Ended up finishing second.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Got him.
I mean,
There was a good battle between the two of them for
yeah,
a couple
not too
of
bad.
laps.
I think Lewis led it for about 7 laps, and then finally Kimi and that Mercedes was just able to overtake him, overpower him, and take it. And he didn't walk away from him, only 2.7 seconds ahead, but still clear to see that Mercedes was dominating. And then we came back for qualifying later that day. I think Charles had fifth place, over 12 and a half seconds off the pace. But when you came back for qualifying, different story.
Yeah.
Where once again, Charles was on provisional pole, 2.8.2, and Kimi Antonelli was able to nip him there in the end by a tenth of a second. So, again, another Mercedes P1 for pole position, and followed by 2 Ferraris, which very exciting for me. I think it's great. I know a lot of people hate the way some of the cars kind of drive right now, with a lot of back and forth. But we saw, I think, in where was that, China or Australia? Yeah, thanks.
Yep.
Where we saw the 2 Ferraris just hunting behind the Mercedes.
Yeah, they were hunting the Mercedes for a while, and then they were going back and forth at each other.
So I just love seeing the Ferraris hunt the Mercedes like that as a pack. We saw it again here, and Charles was the one who was able to get the upper hand.
Yeah.
Get past, stay ahead of Hamilton, get past Kimi after he made a mistake, and lead for a lot of the race.
Yeah.
There was some changing up through the pit strategies, but for the most part, Leclerc led this race quite a ways.
And it's very interesting to see him do this at Silverstone, because I think Silverstone is one of those tracks where you don't really expect Leclerc to be the one that is really coming out on top. Like, it's Hamilton's track first and foremost.
Probably because we've seen Leclerc lead this race several times, only to lose it.
Only to lose it.
But yeah, I think, and then again, when you take into consideration the fact that you would have expected the Mercedes power unit to be so much more dominant down the straights in the high speed stuff against the Ferrari. And that's what it looked like it was going to happen too. Leclerc was still out in front after a series of pit stops, but Antonelli was definitely making progress and coming up on Leclerc.
We were getting ready for an overtake, I think.
Oh, yeah, I think we had another 6 laps or so to go.
Yeah, it was looking like he was coming up on Leclerc, but then everything else happened.
Well, so Kimi was continued. So Kimi has had a really strong start. I'll pull up a quick thing just to make sure I get this right. But he is through China through Monaco, so 5 races, P1, first place. P2, obviously, in the opening race. And in his last 3 races, DNF 3rd and 15th. DNF'd in Barcelona after a power unit issue. Same one that Russell had experienced, and same issue Russell had experienced in Canada. And then in Great Britain, a really weird and random situation where he damaged the left front aerodynamics on his wing.
It was like the cover in front of it that caused some damage. Yeah.
And it threw the aerodynamics off so much that he actually had to keep the wheel canted to one side just to keep going straight. But despite that, and doing that at 150 plus miles an hour, he was going to bring it home. He was going to do his best to bring it home.
Like multiple times they were like, Kimmy, we can just bring it home. Like we'll take the loss on this one. He's like, no, I'm fighting for at least 1 point. If I can get 1 point, it's good. Like,
and then he gets smacked with a 5-second time penalty
for track limits.
For exceeding track limits because he was having so much trouble keeping the car under control and keeping it on the track. But still was actually building enough of a gap to call out to Gasly, I think it was, in P11, that he was going to have the 5 seconds he needed to maintain 10th place.
He was going to maintain that point with a broken car and a time penalty.
And then Max Verstappen came through again. Went off the track in Austria for qualifying.
Honestly, I feel bad for him though.
Goes off the track in Silverstone.
But the reason for this was like this wasn't even like oops oversteer this time. This is like genuine car issue he was having that caused him to like trip off and into the gravel and almost hit the wall right in front of the Lando stand, which is kind of funny because it's all these neon t-shirts and everyone's like, wow, I wonder why he spun off. But off into the gravel with him from the car issue. And honestly, it kind of sucks for him that he didn't even go into the race with the car setup he wanted. He asked the team hey, can we work on the car tonight? Can I get the same setup that Isak has? Because I feel like he's outpacing me in some of these laps and some of these qualifying laps and in the race sometimes. And I want the same setup. I can start from the pit lane. It's fine. We know that he can start from the pit lane and podium.
Mm-hmm.
Like he did in Brazil last year.
Mm-hmm.
And they were like, no, we're not going to do that. You're just going to go race like this. And this happened.
Yep. So really weird fluke. Really weird situation where I guess because of the rotation of his rear wing, I don't want to say not actuating on time, but just when it was applying down forces, he was going into that turn, created a snapback on him, and lost it off the track. So, which
left us with the
safety car comes out. Thought maybe we'd probably get a few.
Thought we were gonna get a last lap.
Few laps of safety car. Maybe at the time, I think we were kind of hoping for 2 or 3 laps.
Yeah.
That would put. We would have thought Hamilton, who was running in second at the time, right behind Leclerc for no. So Hamilton was running second at the time, and we'll put him right behind Leclerc for the restart. Ferrari pulled Hamilton in for a pit stop under the safety car, which absolutely, in my opinion, 100% should have done 10 out of 10 times. It was a quick stop. It was an easy stop.
For sure.
Get some fresh tires, especially if you think you're going to have 2 or 3 laps of racing to go at the end. You want fresh tires. You don't want to try to go screeching away on old used tires. And he had Russell right up behind him as well.
Yeah.
Not right up behind him, but
he's getting there.
He was, when they pulled him in, there was a gap back to Russell. I think everybody was probably going to expect Russell to pit as well.
Mm-hmm.
Just about everybody else was pitting. So it made sense. Pit Hamilton, get some fresh tires on. Russell would pit, get some fresh tires on. You both have fresh tires for 2 or 3 laps of racing.
Right.
Actually, no, it wasn't Russell behind. It wasn't even Russell behind Hamilton. It was somebody else because Russell was at the time.
Lando. It was Lando.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Because
And then I forget what happened to Lando. I think he pitted as well, or
Yep,
something
I
happened
think-
with him.
Lando pitted as well, and Russell instead keeps going
Yeah.
and goes.
It's like, okay, fine, whatever. We're
Yeah,
gonna
so you
get a
had
couple of laps.
Charles, Hamilton, Lando, Russell. Yeah, Russell was running fourth, and Russell manages because he stays out to sneak his way into second place. Hamilton comes out right behind him, and Lando back a little bit further in
Yeah.
fourth. Hamilton with fresh tires. Still, maybe if you get 2 laps of racing,
There's a chance,
Yeah,
especially
yeah.
all bunched up like
yeah,
that.
you got some new tires. You got boost. Maybe if you do it just right, you can figure out how to get past Russell
Right.
at the end. Unfortunately, they kept the safety car out. There was some confusion
Yeah,
and controversy
'cause they
about when it was going to come in. I think the last I had heard was
Because they showed it as ending.
there was information relayed essentially to the broadcast set in the teams that it was going to come in, but that was not supposed to have been relayed. That was the
Ooh.
incorrect message. The incorrect message was sent that it was coming in.
Oh dear.
They had never intended to say it's coming in.
Right.
They had meant to say nope, it's going to stay out for the rest of the race.
Right.
But somehow somebody supposedly a conspiracy theory that it didn't actually happen this way. But supposedly they were supposed to say nope, safety car is staying out. But instead the message somehow got relayed that the safety car was coming in and we'd get 1 lap of racing. That didn't happen. The safety car did stay out. Finished under safety car. Lando Norris
Hello, who's
tried to
getting
get
fired?
cheeky,
Yeah.
talking to his pit crew to see if he could come in to the pits during
That's right.
under the safety
And
car,
finish, through
And-
the
finish through the pit lane because with the geometry of Silverstone, when you first come into the pit lane, you actually cut shorter through the final turn and can get to the start-finish line before
It's like, so can I
the car's on
since we're
track.
finishing under safety car, can I come into the pits?
So if he had come into the pits and gone through a pit lane, he would have actually hit the start-finish line before everybody else and come in first. But you can't pit under a safety car like that. So
No, you can't.
that point. So ended with Leclerc finally getting his win at Silverstone.
Which was nice to see.
It was great to see.
It's kind of sad that it ended like that, I think, especially
Yeah.
with how long the wait's been. But yeah, it was definitely great to see Leclerc on that top step again.
It was, and especially to hear him talking afterwards about
He was
how
so
he
happy.
finally felt like he had it back, like he felt good in the car
Mm-hmm.
again, and he felt like he understood what was going on with the car. I'm telling you what, if you got 2 drivers with Hamilton and Leclerc who have different driving styles, Leclerc likes to go in a lot deeper to his turns. He's a little bit more of a bully, I think,
Oh,
in the
he's very
turns.
aggressive for sure. Yeah.
And really just likes to, and he said this before, he will throw the car to the edge of the limits. And he drives it like you have to have complete and total faith in the car. That is not going to go ripping off the track.
Right.
And he couldn't do that until Silverstone.
Yeah.
He did not have the faith in the car. Well, if he's got faith in his car, and Hamilton's feeling good in his car,
And he's feeling good about his skill level again, too. He's feeling
And
like he's got his back.
you've got 2 different drivers like that, both feeling good in their cars. That's a pretty good setup.
That's nice, yeah.
And I would hazard that this could become one of the best duos in F1, maybe this year and probably next year if they can get their car
Yeah.
ahead of Mercedes. Because other than
If one of them
kind
can
of-
bring home a Ferrari championship
Yeah.
next year,
kind of Max, nobody's been able to challenge the Mercedes the way these 2 have. Both of these guys now have a win. Ferrari, with the exception of Austria, kind of Monaco, have really been at the top of the pack, fighting right behind Mercedes. They're usually the ones who keep up. Early in the season, they had the starting situation down a lot better than Mercedes did, and were able to get them there. Now they're kind of
Yeah.
develop and catch up with them developmentally. And so, I mean, this could be a really formidable
For sure.
duo going forward.
Yeah, it's
To have two almost completely different drivers, both in a very comfortable setup, and could end up kind of just out competing the rest of the
I
field.
think we're very much back into a frame of mind of like the Mercedes Ferrari fight. Like Red Bull's kind of there here and again, but like McLaren's off the map at this point unless they bring some really major upgrade. Like it's been hard for Oscar to manage the car. Lando like hasn't even podiumed, I don't think, this year. And he's the reigning world champion. Like the car has taken such a serious downgrade. And like having the faith in the car, neither of them have that. Like you can see, like if you look at Oscar's cameras on his onboards, like he's hesitating on the throttle. He can't trust the car to not spin him off. Like,
So Lando does have 2 podiums. Got
Does he?
second in
Okay.
Miami, and then third in
all right,
Spain, where the
that's
three
true.
Brit-
The three
the
British. Okay.
drivers. Yeah. So,
Okay, so he's got 2. But we've also got a couple DNFs did not start. I think especially the car's not been great for Oscar, especially this year,
Yeah. I
which
think
is sad.
every time you think McLaren have kind of started to get something together, it feels like they just take a couple steps back.
Yeah.
Oscar had a decent little run of 5th and 4th place. He's got a couple podiums as well, but 5th and 4th place there before Silverstone. But really, they're just not in the same form that they were last year.
Or the year before.
Yeah. All right.
All right.
Silverstone, good.
I think we're good on Silverstone.
Yeah, I think so too. So
Go into
let's
some standings.
yeah, moving to our last little bit here. We'll talk a little bit about some standings and next little bit of a look ahead.
Yeah.
So
Couple races
still got
coming.
Antonelli again with those 5 victories, really staking
Yeah.
a pretty solid lead. But you do have finally Russell starting to claw his way back in. He's only 25 points down.
Yeah.
I mean, if he gets a win and Antonelli has another DNF, they're tied.
Yeah, that's a terrifying thought. Like in the grand scheme of things, George Russell, not a bad driver at all. Not like he's a good dude in general, but I think just like so much of like his personality on track like irks people, and like he becomes like such a stickler for rules when someone else does something he thinks is wrong. But then if he does something like doesn't lift properly under double yellows, he's like, no,
It was single.
no, it was fine.
Yeah.
And it's like whatever. It's like okay, and like I think it's just kind of like okay, well, like what? Why would you go off like this and then not hold yourself the same way?
So, and then you've got Hamilton also kind of hanging about.
Yeah.
He's only 7 points behind Russell. So
Yeah, I think Russell just recently re-overtook in Silverstone.
Austria.
Did he? It was
Yeah.
Austria.
Yeah,
It was
took it
one
back
of
from
those.
Austria.
It was one of those. It was one of the more recent ones.
And then you've got Leclerc's not too far behind him as well. He's another 40 points back, but so yeah, I don't know. Probably out of contention for a WDC at this point, but you never know what could happen. But I think Leclerc and Hamilton can make a pretty good run at Mercedes, especially if they can continue with some of these upgrades. It seems like a pretty big gap right now, 82 points. But again, you get a couple double podiums for
Couple
Ferrari,
wins,
a couple more Mercedes reliability issues thrown in there, and you could have another decent little fight on your hands.
Yeah.
Between Mercedes and Ferrari.
I definitely think we'll see a fight between the two teams. I think right now the champion should fight the drivers' championship is going to be the two Mercedes drivers. I think Hamilton's not done throwing his lot in there, but
Yeah.
I definitely think like our final fight will probably be the two Mercedes drivers going at each other.
Yeah, probably. So we got Belgium this weekend in Spa. I know I say like so many of these tracks are my favorite, but this really is like right up there too. So I think I'd put, up there my tracks be Silverstone, Monaco. I love the tradition. I know people hate it because there's no overtaking, but I still love it. And then I've got Hockenheim on there because we've been there. And it's also one of my favorites from back in the day. And then Spa is right up there too.
For sure.
And then fifth, probably rounded out with one of the Italian tracks here, San Marino or Imola, or maybe throw in even like Brazil, Sao Paulo. Actually, I do really like that one.
Sao Paulo is a nice one, I think.
Yeah, so there's a lot of great tracks to choose from, but I think we're kind of like into the real heart of it right now.
Yeah.
Spa-Francorchamps this weekend. We've got F1, F2, F3. I think we have some Academy this weekend too. No, we do not.
No, we don't have Academy.
1, 2, and 3. So should be a challenging race because it's another high-speed track.
Lots of straights.
With a lot of spots where you can empty your battery
or charge it up
at one spot and then not have it for the next 2 or 3 straights.
Billion laps.
Yeah. So you really have to strategize. And this is where I see a lot of, I call them the Twitter experts. Some folks actually do know what they're talking about. They have very detailed analysis and they can really get into the data on how much power they're using up, how much speed they're losing through clipping, how, this is the dag on tires and all this other stuff. But I think when it comes down to it, for most fans, and even I put myself slightly above most fans. I'm not quite into the time trial sheets, but
right.
I feel slightly more informed than the average fan. And even we were looking at the times for Silverstone.
Right.
The qualifying time for Silverstone this year was like a 1:28.1 or something like that.
And
the fastest ever track time was by Max Verstappen, and it was a 1:27. I forget what the final was, but it's just over 1:27. So you're talking about less than a second between the fastest ever track time and this year's qualifying time for these cars.
Right.
And so that kind of difference is imperceptible to just about everybody.
Right.
Drivers
maybe not.
Yeah, and again, you get into some of the hard number crunchers, and obviously some of the drivers notice it, especially when you have to lay off so you can recharge your battery instead of going flat out. But in the end, the difference between 203 miles an hour and 209 miles an hour is not going to be that big of a difference to a spectator in the stands or somebody watching it on TV. You're just not going to notice it.
Especially if you look at how many people that go to F1 now are just going just to go.
Yeah, when you throw that in as well. That's why I say the average. I kind of consider myself a little bit better than the average fan.
Yeah.
Given the weight of people pulling the average down.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of people that go that are very into it and are very invested. But there's also, I think, definitely a new demographic of just well, why don't we go just to go?
But I think like I was saying, I think the difference and how much time and how much speed is being lost to these regulations is, for most people, you can't notice it. You don't see it. Everything still looks. 203 looks just as fast as 209 miles an hour. So I don't know why there's so much consternation over it, but I get it, I guess. And then when you consider too, what was I going to say? With those speeds and and you kind of take into consideration another complaint is the overtaking.
Oh, yeah.
How you can use a boost to overtake, but now you've used up your battery, so the car then just retakes you again with their boost, and you're right back to where you started. And again, that a net change of nothing, but you still had a fight. You still had one car going after another and then going right back after them again, which is a lot more exciting than two cars following each other for 8 laps doing absolutely nothing.
Yeah, I think like that's like the whole thing is like the entertainment factor is what a lot of people wanted. Like
I know
people
they're
complain about the overtaking in Monaco, and then we start overtaking in Monaco, and they're like,
and I know they're like pure racing enthusiasts who are like, no, you need to be able to just bury the pedal and just drive flat out. And to me, that's not that exciting either. If I wanted to watch somebody bury a pedal and drive flat out, I'd watch NASCAR, but I don't because I have, taste. But to watch people who have to actually think about what they're doing and manage how they're planning and setting up their attack while going 203 miles an hour, to me is actually pretty exciting and a lot of fun.
For sure.
And I'm not saying that this era of cars is perfect. I'm not saying it's fantastic. I would much rather go back to like V10s and like go screaming down the track. I went to the races back in the early 2000s and they had the V10s and even, I think they still might even have the V12s. You had to put in hearing protection or you were walking away deaf. We went in 2019 to Hockenheim. And it wasn't even this era of cars. It was, but it was still V6 hybrid. And I mean, it was loud, but it was nothing like what I had gone to.
I definitely had earplugs for that one.
Kid.
And I definitely.
Well, you were also like.
Yeah. Okay, listen. Listen.
I definitely. 10.
We also went to Bahrain, though. We also went to Bahrain.
Bahrain was pretty loud. But anyway, I would much rather go back to the screaming V10s of my early adulthood than take what we're getting now. But, I still think this is a lot of fun.
It is, for sure.
So, speaking of a lot of fun, even when there are no races, so we got summer break is coming up here soon. I can't remember exactly when.
It's after the next 2 races.
Is it after the next 2 races?
Yes. It starts at the beginning of August, and then we come back for the Netherlands at the end of August.
Yep. So we got Belgium next, like I just said, this weekend, and Hungary the weekend right after that. And then, we take a break and we come back for the Netherlands. But, that break is one of the more fun times in F1 because it's silly season. So what are you looking forward to?
All right. So I think what a lot of people are looking at right now is the Max rumors. I think for the last 3 seasons, we've had Max rumors during silly season just because it's been kind of a downward spiral for Red Bull, even with his last couple of championships. Like, I think we were seeing a slow but steady progression downwards for the car. And, like, especially this year, it's not been good. And apparently, Max now has a clause in his contract that since he can no longer mathematically move up to second in the World Drivers' Championship before the summer break, his exit clause is now active. He can now terminate his current contract, which is through 2028 right now, I believe. So there's been a lot of starting to fly around about where he's going. There's been stuff where he's in talks with McLaren, and apparently, and like most likely that would have been replacing Oscar at McLaren. They would have terminated his current contract. Both Mark Webber and Oscar have spoken about this and said this is not true. Oscar is with McLaren for the foreseeable future alongside Lando. There's been a couple of little things about talking with Ferrari, but nothing is solid on that end. As always, talks with Mercedes, which to me, if he was going to switch teams, feels the most solid to me right now. Honestly, I would love to see a Verstappen-Antonelli pairing at Mercedes with the car they have. I think it would be really entertaining. And then, of course, that leaves the question of where does George Russell go if they part ways with him this year. There's been quite a bit surrounding.
He'd go to Aston Martin.
He might go to
replace
Aston
Alonso.
Martin, yeah, because I think a lot of what people are thinking is Alonso's done after this year.
Yeah.
I think both with
He's got that uppity Aston Martin nature.
Because just with how the Aston Martin is this year, and he just hasn't had a real fight for the past couple of years, I think. Aston Martin had a good few races, a good handful last year, I think, but this year has just been terrible.
So who's going to replace
them.
Max at Red Bull?
That's what no one wants to answer for some reason.
No, there are people who want to answer it.
Okay.
And they've been answering it.
There's.
You don't want to hear the answer.
I don't want to hear the answer. I don't want to. Because my dream team right now is Ollie Behrman and Yuki Tsunoda at Haas. Because there's been a lot.
Or dream meet.
I'm sorry.
What?
Because there's been a lot actually about Yuki Tsunoda coming back into F1 with a couple of the more midfield teams. He's been in talks with Haas. Because
Wild.
I think that's insane, honestly.
Mainly because Yuki's been a Honda rep for his career. One of the reasons why Honda was at Red Bull was
Yuki, for sure.
And you've got Haas is teamed up with Toyota.
Yeah.
So a little funny there.
A little bit of a switch, yeah.
Yeah, and you've got Haas has a reserve driver. Ryu.
Yeah.
I can't remember his last name. Ryu, who is a Toyota rep.
Yeah. I think a lot of it is because I think before he was moved to Red Bull, he was in talks with various teams, Haas being one of them, about possibly leaving the Red Bull family of his own terms, but then they locked him in at V-Carb and then Red Bull and essentially ended his career.
Ryo Hirakawa.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think so. The rumors going around are if Max does leave Red Bull would be very interested in bringing Ollie Behrman on board because Ollie Behrman, obviously, with Haas being a Ferrari,
he's been the Ferrari Academy forever.
He came into the Ferrari Academy, in through the Ferrari Academy. He's been a Ferrari reserve driver. He scored points with Ferrari. So
debut race.
Everybody's thought like Ollie Behrman is lined up to go with Ferrari. But now that you got Lewis Hamilton sitting third in the points, loving life again, enjoying racing, looking forward to putting more into the car for the next couple years and saying he's ready to stick around for a few more seasons. If Max is leaving Red Bull anytime within the next year or two, Ollie Behrman is a pretty enticing driver for them to go after.
Especially because I believe Laurent Mekies was the one who recruited him into Ferrari Academy.
So, and he's now leaving Red Bull. So.
Yeah, which I come on, man.
Stars lining up pretty nicely there.
Please no.
For Behrman Hadjar team at Red Bull, not terrible to be honest. If they can figure out their car. Not a bad young team to kind of get ahead on.
I think it might be a couple years before it really looks like they're in contention for total win.
Yeah.
I think they would probably be more of a second or third place kind of team maybe. Yeah. But I can't go through one of my drivers being at that team again, man.
And you have to go back to Haas after losing if they did lose Ollie. Who would come in to fill him? Like I said, you got Ryo Hirakawa there in the wings.
Jack Doohan,
which I would hate.
Really?
Oh, I would not. Yeah, I am a total pass on Doohan.
That's fair, I guess.
Colapinto is doing much more with that.
Well, this year he is. Last year when he replaced him, he did not score any points after replacing him. So.
Yeah, but. Hey man, and then Yuki Tsunoda, like we said, kind of a weird dark horse possibility there.
Yeah.
Although I honestly don't think it would happen because of the Honda Toyota.
It's a weird thing. I think if Yuki comes back in the next year or two, it's going to be because he comes in for Haas, replacing Esteban Ocon, most likely because he's just not. He's not.
Because Esteban's only through the end of this year.
as far as I know. Yeah, he's not as competitive this year, and I think he's just been overall like very contentious with the team. Like even Ollie and him, who've gotten along great, have started
I think
arguing.
it's been 2 years together. Is this
Yeah.
their third year?
No.
Their second year.
Yeah.
together. So last year I had a good year. I think this year starting to see that same thing we saw from Esteban at Alpine with Pierre, where by the end they were like,
they can't work together.
Get out my garage.
Yeah.
Stop touching my drum set.
Yeah.
And but so I think Esteban will probably be out unless he can score a couple more points finishes. He got Monaco, but that's been it.
Yeah, and like I think we really need some decent points, which is going to be difficult as is with this setup.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I think for Yuki, it's either going to be a Haas seat, or there's been a rumor starting up around Williams that Sainz is not happy with his spot this year.
And I would take a Sainz Tsunoda Haas team.
Woo!
That would be.
Ooh, wait a minute.
That would be some stuff right there.
That would be quite a pairing.
Honestly. Oh my god!
It's
silly season. I can drink.
The two best cooks on the grid at the same team.
Oh man, the Spanish passion and the Japanese.
Where are you going with that, Dad?
He's a little chatterbox.
Yeah, this
on the radio, man.
This is true.
See those two guys going.
Oh man, that would be. We can dream, guys.
That'd be great. All right,
but I think like Sainz may be interested in Audi, potentially.
Yeah, they've been doing great so far this year.
They like they've been a bit back and forth as well with their points, but especially like I think they kind of trade off having difficult runs of it. Honestly, like if Hülkenberg manages to get through to Q3, Bortoletto's all the way down in Q1.
Mm-hmm.
Or if Bortoletto gets up there, Hülkenberg has some sort of like engine issue, or he has some reason he can't complete another lap in Q2 or something.
Yeah.
So it's kind of back and forth for them right now. Sometimes they end up in the points, sometimes they end up right on the fringe. Not a lot of like dead last from them though.
Yep. No, yeah, they've been consistently, I think, right behind Alpine through most of the season. Alpine's been a kind of surprise best of the rest. When you take out the Red Bulls and the McLarens and take out those top runners.
Yeah.
Right after those guys, it's been
kind of
Alpine and Audi and kind of Haas and Williams fighting.
Yeah. Williams has had been a really rough run of it. Sainz has been able to pull off a couple of miracles, but I think Albon especially has been suffering this year. Ends up with a lot of issues. They pull him into the garage. They send him back out. They pull him in. They send him back out.
I don't know how much longer he's going to be at it either.
I think he's
a great driver. I like him.
Yeah,
I think
he's just doing it. He just kind of does it for the love of the game.
That's what I'm thinking. Like,
because he's like one of the only drivers ever that no one dislikes.
Yeah, that's true.
Yes.
All right. I think that's going to about do it for us.
For sure.
Like I said, we're looking forward to Spa this weekend. And looking forward to.
You're gonna watch it without me.
Looking forward to seeing y'all in the next one.
The world champion strikes back. Max Verstappen wins the Sao Paulo Grand Prix. Charles Leclerc wins the Monaco Grand Prix to achieve his dream. Down goes Leclerc, through goes Hamilton. Lando Norris wins for the